Tilo was a young man with big dreams and an easygoing nature, well known in the bustling town of Ekpoma. Though his roots were in Rotimi, a smaller community not too far away, he had made Ekpoma his home. Life had never handed Tilo much on a silver platter. He was born into a large family, the kind where meals were shared generously but luxuries were rare. His parents were hardworking, simple people who managed to provide the basics but had little to spare beyond that. Growing up, Tilo quickly learned the meaning of struggle. He saw firsthand the daily efforts his parents put in just to keep the household running. Being surrounded by many siblings meant that competition for opportunities and resources was always there, but it also meant there was a strong bond of loyalty within the family. Among his brothers, there was one striking similarity: every one of them was part of the Maphites confraternity, a well-known brotherhood in the region that commanded both influence and respect in the community. By 2009, Tilo was in his early adulthood, and like many young men around him, he was looking for a way to change his financial story. That was the year he stepped into the fast-rising world of online dealings, popularly referred to in Nigeria as Yahoo at the time. It was a path many youths were beginning to explore, drawn by the promise of quick earnings and the excitement of being part of something modern and tech-driven. For Tilo, it was an escape from the limitations of his background and a chance to finally have some financial breathing space. As he began to earn from these activities, Tilo also made another life-changing move in that same year. He joined the Maphites confraternity. Why he joined depends on which version of the story you believe. Some say his older brothers, already active members, encouraged him to come into the fold, both to strengthen family ties and to have their younger stand side by side with them in loyalty. Others claim it was more of a strategic decision, that many members of the Maphite group were already deep in the same online business as Tilo, and being one of them would give him more trust, better connections, and the latest updates on how to succeed. Whatever the truth, that year marked a turning point in Tilo's life. He was no longer just an ambitious young man from a humble family in Rotimi living in Ekpoma. He was now part of a network that could open doors, shape his future, and expose him to a world very different from the one he had known growing up. After the fall of a well-known figure in Ekpoma named Rotimi, the balance of influence in the town shifted noticeably. The BlackAxe group began to dominate the area, becoming known for their strong territorial control. Their presence was felt everywhere, and during periods of conflict between rival groups, it was an unspoken rule that the original residents of Ekpoma were usually left unharmed. Outsiders or perceived threats, however, were not afforded the same courtesy. By the year 2010, Tilo's life had changed in several visible ways. He was no longer the struggling young man scraping by from his earlier years. He owned a sleek BMW, a status symbol in the town, and had started building a small family of his own. He had a daughter with his longtime girlfriend, who was now widely regarded as his partner, and Tilo took his role as a father seriously. Those close to him often said he spared no effort in making sure his child and her mother lived comfortably. Tilo also had a brother who was based abroad, and this connection fed into rumors that he was making plans to leave Nigeria himself. Many whispered that he was considering moving overseas to expand his business ventures and multiply his income. Whether these plans were certain or just street talk, one thing was clear: Tilo was ambitious and constantly thinking ahead. Yet as time passed, something else began to define his life even more: his growing loyalty to the Maphites confraternity. It was no longer just a matter of being associated with them through his brothers or enjoying the social advantages of membership. Tilo came to understand that in these circles, true commitment was proven not only through words but also through actions and resources. He began to dedicate both his time and his assets to the group's activities. There were strong allegations in the community that his BMW was occasionally used by members of the Maphite during confrontations with rival groups. While Tilo himself never confirmed such stories, the claims added to his reputation as someone deeply woven into the inner workings of the brotherhood. His influence within the Maphite network grew quickly, and within a short period, he was said to have risen to a respected position in their hierarchy. This visible rise in status did not go unnoticed. Rivals from other groups began paying closer attention to his movements, and even within his own social circles, there were murmurs of jealousy. Some saw him as a symbol of success, while others saw him as a competitor whose growing wealth and connections made him a threat. Whatever the case, by 2010, Tilo had transformed into a figure of both admiration and caution in Ekpoma, a young man whose ambition, connections, and commitment had propelled him far beyond the life he was born into. Although Tilo was a well-known member of the Maphite confraternity, many people who knew him personally described him as a surprisingly approachable and fair-minded individual. He was not the type to abuse his influence or intimidate those around him. In fact, several sources claimed that he had a calm personality and did not allow the power of his association with the group to make him arrogant or oppressive. To the casual observer, Tilo could easily pass for an ordinary, well-to-do young man simply living his life. But the year 2012 would become one of the darkest chapters in his life, a year that left deep scars not only on him but also on those close to him. That was the year a violent conflict broke out between the Maphite group and the BlackAxe in Ekpoma, marking one of the most tense periods the town had witnessed in years. The unrest was said to have begun at Ambrose Ali University, located right in the heart of Ekpoma. The exact cause of the confrontation remained unclear, as different accounts from different sources painted conflicting pictures. Some whispered about personal disputes that escalated, others suggested it was the result of a lingering rivalry that had been building up over time. What most sources agreed on, however, was that the first decisive strike came from the Maphites. They were said to have taken out a member of the BlackAxe in an initial attack, setting the stage for a full-blown confrontation. This single incident set off a chain reaction of fear, retaliation, and heightened tension in the community. Following that first strike, the Maphites adopted a defensive strategy that was common among such groups during periods of conflict. They went underground. For more than 2 months, it was rare to see any known Maphite member moving freely around town. They avoided public places, kept a low profile, and took careful measures to ensure they could not be easily located or targeted by their rivals. This sudden disappearance was not unusual in such situations. Members of these groups knew that in times of open conflict, visibility could be dangerous. By remaining out of sight, they reduced the chances of a counterattack and gave themselves time to plan their next moves. Still, the atmosphere in Ekpoma was tense, with residents knowing that beneath the surface, a dangerous rivalry was brewing and could erupt again at any moment. For Tilo, this was not just another period of street unrest, it was a turning point that would soon draw him deeper into a dangerous game of survival, loyalty, and power. After the initial strike that sparked the conflict, members of the BlackAxe set out to find any Maphite member who might still be walking openly in the streets. Their aim was clear: they wanted to retaliate and settle the score. But their search turned up nothing. Not a single Maphite was seen moving about freely. This was not by accident. The Maphite confraternity had long been known for this exact tactic during times of crisis. Unlike some rival groups who often showcased their presence boldly, the Maphites were more discreet by nature. They preferred to keep their operations and movements low profile, and in moments of heightened danger, their smaller numbers actually worked in their favor. It made it easier for them to disappear from public view entirely, avoiding unnecessary exposure until tensions cooled down. For 2 long months, the town hardly saw any of them. Their sudden absence was almost as if they had vanished from Ekpoma entirely. But as time passed, the Maphites began to reappear gradually, moving about more openly as if assuming that the conflict had faded into the past. This was a risky assumption. In many circles tied to confraternity beliefs, past grievances are rarely forgotten. Even when they seem to have cooled down, they can easily resurface, sometimes with even greater intensity. The calm that follows a storm can often be deceptive, and for Tilo, this would prove to be dangerously true. Having been among the Maphites who went underground during the 2-month silence, Tilo finally decided to return to his regular life. He had missed his child and the mother of his child deeply. As soon as he was back in Ekpoma, one of his first actions was to go to Imodo, a part of the town, to see them. But what should have been a simple family visit turned into a life-altering moment. Unbeknownst to Tilo, some members of the BlackAxe were in the area. The moment they spotted him, they saw an opportunity to balance the scores from the earlier conflict. According to accounts from multiple sources, the BlackAxe quickly mobilized their own group, and soon after, a team moved toward the house where Tilo was staying with his partner and child. What followed was a violent confrontation that left no room for escape. Local stories claim that Tilo had some form of protective charm, believed by some to make him resistant to harm from certain weapons. Whether or not this was true, witnesses alleged that when the first attempt failed to bring him down, his attackers resorted to other brutal means until his life was taken. The news of Tilo's passing sent shockwaves across Ekpoma and beyond. Friends, family, and acquaintances were deeply shaken. His mother, devastated by the loss of her son, struggled to cope. The grief proved too heavy, and about 6 months later, she also passed away, a second blow to a family already broken. Tilo's story is a painful reminder that involvement in cultism brings nothing but tragedy. Lives are lost, families are shattered, and communities are left in fear. No matter the promises or the sense of belonging such groups claim to offer, the end is often the same: sorrow, regret, and wasted potential. Let this story be a lesson: say no to cultism. There is no true benefit in it, only loss.